Hey, fellow Toastmasters, do you know what this is? Yes, it's an onion. Now, what does an onion have to do with my speech? Think about it. An onion is much like a person. It's got several layers before it can come to its core. And not only that, it's got plenty of good uses, and it can be good also on its own. See? Much like a person. Now, what does an onion have to do with my speech? And why did I choose an onion? Something I don't really like. Well, it all started with a particular comment that was shared with me by a batchmate in college. She was someone whom I'm well acquainted with. We're good. We're not exactly close friends, but we talk sometimes and share a few intimate stories with one another. Then I was told, I think surprisingly and suddenly at that time, that I'm someone who's built a wall around myself. And that why should I be pushing other people away all the time? I didn't know exactly what she was talking about. What wall? Pushing people away? Do I actually do that? I took it in passing, and I never really heard about that again until I was at work. I had another colleague tell me the exact same thing. And the most recent one was actually from Toastmaster Rain. She also told me that I have this wall around me that somehow you can't penetrate. So I am like an onion. Take the wall to the layers of the onion. But an onion won't be able to serve its purpose if we keep it, well, unpeeled, right? And it doesn't exactly peel by itself. So what does this have to do with anything? I never really understood what they meant by building a wall around me. I talk to them, I talk to friends, I laugh with them, I share stories, like I do here in Toastmasters. I have deep conversations with people, yeah. So what's the wall there? And then came this chat message that Rain and I shared just a couple of weeks ago. And in it, she said she was so happy, delighted even, that I'm starting to really talk about my feelings, myself, without any inhibitions. I thought, didn't I do that all the time? But then coming from her and knowing how observant she is, I realized that I think what these people have been trying to tell me all this time is I can't wait for people to just unpeel me because I have to let them open me up, or I have to let myself open up so that people can understand exactly what's inside. How did this habit come about? I think it all started with avoiding being a burden to people. When I was younger, my dad especially wouldn't want to see me crying, didn't want me crying. And I thought, because I have to be strong, because you're not allowed to cry, you're not supposed to. Now I realized maybe what he was trying to say is that, what will crying do? Or once you cry, what are you going to do next? It's not about hiding your feelings or masking them. Or in my case, I've been so into positively scripting my feelings all this time that the true feelings isn't coming out. We have to be honest with ourselves. And sometimes being honest is going to hurt others, but most especially you. Sometimes we also have to make ourselves vulnerable so that people understand exactly where we're coming from. You can't just expect them to peer into your mind, to your heart, and know what to do with you and how to interact with you or talk to you. It's not like in the movies that everyone can tell exactly what you're feeling. You have to tell it yourself. And I'm glad that here at Toastmasters, I have that chance to open up and actually talk to people, share myself to people, make them understand all the things that happened to me in the past to make me who I am today. Make them understand why I am so. Peeling is a long process. Tearing down the walls, even a greater course. But there's time, there's space, and there's still people who are just waiting for you to open up, to talk to them, because they appreciate the little things and the stories that you actually share with them. That's what being a friend is, after all. We're not being a burden. We just want to bridge the gap between your person and my person. So now, fellow Toastmasters, since you know my story and my journey to tearing down my wall, why don't you go ahead and peel your own onions?